Good day once again and welcome back to another episode of Father and Sundays, the unexpandable guide to absolutely nothing. This week we're on episode 76.
Struth!
We are talking about Australia. So stick around if you want to hear more. G'day, Dad.
G'day, son.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Not very good at the Australian accent.
No, we're not going to do that throughout the entire podcast.
Yours is a little bit better than mine.
I don't even know
Slightly racist.
how we got into it straight away, because neither of us discussed doing the Australian accent.
Yeah, but you've got to do it, haven't you? Considering this is all about Australia.
I was going to say good day, and then I did say good day, and then I couldn't not do the accent after that.
Fair enough.
So,
Well, it'll be a bit of hit and miss if we do use the accent during this particular podcast, but we'll have to be a bit careful with it, I think. Don't want to upset people more than we normally do. So how are you?
I'm not bad, thank you very much for asking.
What have you been doing?
Trying to
this week
stop the cat attacking my monitor.
Right.
The new cat.
It is a bit of a kitten Kong, isn't it?
Yeah, she keeps attacking my cursor on the screen, and this is both in like just time when I've been on my PC today, as well as
when you're working from home.
When I'm working from home.
Yeah, not good.
So I have to get her worn out, and then she sits. Sometimes curls up on my bed, but she has actually been sleeping under my desk as well. So.
Oh dear. Well, see, has the magic worn off yet?
No, she's still great.
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah, she's a laugh.
Okay.
She's an idiot.
A laugh.
She falls over a lot.
She does fall over a lot, doesn't she?
She fell into the bin the other day.
She did fill
into the bin.
Yeah. Oh, I nearly went fill into the bin. I don't know what accent that was.
No, I don't know.
But no, she does a lot of that, and she does stalk and pounce on our other cat, who is significantly bigger than her.
Yeah.
And who then puts her in some sort of death roll,
yep.
Which then she starts whimpering about, and we all get, oh, you've been a bit too rough with her, break him up. And then he walks away and she attacks him again, doesn't she?
Yeah, well, we've kind of got to the point where we said, well, we can't tell whether he's hurting her. And now she keeps going back for more, so surely he's not hurting her that much.
Unless kittens haven't got, their short-term memory is really poor. And,
well, I think that could be the case.
And then she goes, oh, another cat. Ah, that hurts. Oh, another cat. That sort of thing. Well, we'll have to get Maui on here to talk about how he feels about a new addition to the family.
Yeah, one day get that magical collar on her.
If you still got it. Is it under your bed somewhere, gathering dust?
No.
I think it is.
No.
No? Isn't it? Where is it then?
No, it's in my wardrobe.
Oh, it's in your wardrobe. That's good. So we can get that out and use that at some point. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I've had a lovely week.
I haven't got around to that yet.
Yeah.
So this week's podcast.
No, I've had a lovely week.
So how have you been? You've been off.
I've had a week off that I had booked to do some other stuff, but didn't end up doing that. But what it meant was,
well, that's a good segue into the other stuff. But carry on.
Okay. But what I ended up doing was going up and seeing your big sister.
She's not that big.
Big little sister, her husband, and my grandson, David, and it was lovely. I spent a couple of days with them, helped out doing a few jobs around the house, big jobs around the house.
Yeah.
They haven't found them yet. I blamed it on the cat. And he's beautiful, and I loved it. And the load of journey up there on your own's a bit of a drag. It was well worthwhile to see the three of them.
You know what might have made that easier?
What?
A really good podcast you could listen to.
I could have done, couldn't I? Yeah. But I couldn't quite work out how to use the map thing on my phone as well as listening to something else.
Right. Okay.
As well as eating biscuits as well. I was multitasking, and that's not one of my strengths.
Interesting.
But it's been a lovely week.
Did you just not listen to music all the way up?
No, I put a CD on in the end because that was separate from the actual phone bit. And it worked.
We'll have to.
Yes, got a bass guitar as well.
You did get a bass guitar.
Yeah, lovely bass guitar.
Not a normal guitar, a bass one.
A bass guitar, which I was after, and that was very nice. Had a little fiddle about with that the other day, and there we are.
I keep saying the word fiddle at work and said I'm going to fiddle around with this, and I've got to the point where every time I say fiddle, there's two guys on my meetings that giggle to themselves. So I'm trying to avoid that word.
You'll get called into HR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the reason you booked off this week was because of the Commonwealth Games.
It was because of the Commonwealth Games that we were unable to get the tickets we were after. So we.
However,
yes,
it's been really good, the Commonwealth Games.
Yes.
Who's at the top of the medal table at the moment?
Is it Australia?
I'm pretty sure it's Australia.
All right, I didn't know that, but then I wondered where you were going with this.
I will quickly
because if it isn't
that.
now, if it isn't, don't fact check it now. Let me come back at you at a later date. That's what fact check is all about. Shaming people.
It's Australia.
Oh, well done. I won't come back on that one then.
Yep, they've got 55 golds as of this moment. England have got 48 golds as of this moment. We have got more silvers though.
Right. Well, I should hope so.
We've got 140. They've got 147 medals. We've got 137.
Right. They're doing well then.
And so we're second, but we're way in front of third, which is Canada with 19. No disrespect to Canada, but
none taken. I don't think
they don't not usually Canadian.
Yeah, but they don't. They're quite.
They'll probably be apologising.
Nice people. Yeah, they don't really take offence, do they? Anyway, Australia. Why did we pick Australia as a topic?
Well, one reason we've done United Kingdom.
We have.
Or Britain or whatever. We've done...
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, we've done USA.
Yep.
I think we're gradually making our way through some various countries, but we have edged towards English-speaking countries so far, it appears.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
No, but this one's not necessarily in the best way, but it was an old British colony.
No, certainly not in the best way.
But, so we're just edging through countries, and also... Becky and Sam went to Australia once.
They did go to Australia once, but I think it's a really interesting country.
Yeah.
I think when you see
huge.
It is huge, and when you see, I saw a couple of
Have
diagrams.
They got a smaller population than us?
Well, they've got as far as the mass of the country is concerned, the population is there's more sheep than there is people in Australia.
How about sheeple?
I don't know about sheeple. I didn't have the numbers for that. I'll have to go back to that. But basically, the actual island, the Australian island as it is, when you overlay that onto other parts of the world, other countries, if you put it in North America, I mean, it's huge. The expanse is, and obviously it's not all populated, which is why you when I talk about the fact that there's a certain amount of people, and
there's farms in Australia that are bigger than the UK. Or bigger than England, at least.
Yeah.
So...
Is there really?
It tells you that there's so much space there.
And also... So let's start at the beginning. Right.
The beginning,
you know that word
time?
I couldn't say a little bit early on? It's a bit like abominable, which I can now say.
And preliminary.
Right. Obviously...
Preliminary.
People... in inverted commas, discovered Australia.
Same with US.
Already people there, same as the US. The indigenous people, wow, got it right. That's abominable, indigenous, and what was the other one? Preliminary. No, I didn't say it right that time. Anyway, there was the indigenous population of Australia.
Or the...
Aboriginals.
Aborigines.
So... for tens of thousands of years, I think, you would have had people living there and living in that sort of culture. And I'm looking at you now, and that may be a little bit too much. I don't know.
Yeah, but then, of thousands
obviously, I've got 1606. I think it's the Dutch landed on the island. And as other people in this world often do, decided to, this is our part and this is, it happens all the time.
Quite like the Dutch, though.
Do you?
Yeah.
Right. But the Dutch weren't the worst. We were the worst because we, at one point in our history, started shipping criminals over to Australia because we'd have them away from our own. And where's the furthest place away from where we actually live, or our country? I mean, when you think about it, to even take them there, get them there, many must have died on the way there. And then to actually then just put them on a different continent, in a different country, just so they were nowhere near us.
Yet we still have crime here.
We certainly do.
So, didn't really work, did it?
It didn't, and I mean, it obviously went on for far, far too long. But thankfully, things are very, very different.
Yeah, you'd be surprised about the last ship of criminals being sent over. Like, that wasn't a massively long time ago.
Really? Do you know when it was?
No.
No? Okay, perhaps that's something you can find out. So it's also where in this country we have Essex, Suffolk, Middlesex, and the counties that separate up in our particular island. In Australia, they have states and territories. Now, these states and territories can be very, very different. So I've got a few here. Tasmania, which is an island off of Australia, but is under the same umbrella.
There's a devil in it, doesn't it?
Yep. New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, Western Australia, South Australia, Norfolk Island, Christmas Island. These are all under that particular one. I was interested to find out, right, and I'm pretty sure I read this, that 89 large geographically distinct bioregions based on common climate, geology, landform, native vegetation and species information. Yeah, I didn't write. That's I've just done myself in there, so I had that written down. So 89. So basically, what we're saying about that is, within that country, you've got desert, you've got forests, like sort of deciduous. Is that the word? Forests, and then you've got, I believe, sort of rainforest, and you've got the coasts, and you've got, you've got so much.
And more, please. There's more.
There's a lot of snow there. There's mountains there, right? There's more snow in that mountainous area than there is in a whole of Switzerland, apparently. So you're talking about a country that we talk about.
We know there's jungles, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm a Celebrity setting them.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah. So
they've also got Wales in there apparently as well, because I'm a Celebrity was in Wales, so that must be in Australia.
New South Wales.
Yeah, they have actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is such a diverse country because it's so vast. You've got these different sort of climates, different sort of what did you say? Biomes, which is I guess that certain environment. So if we say like deciduous,
like different ecosystems,
different ecosystems. I just find that incredible because we in this country, we're such a small country, and even when we talk about we can talk about the sort of there's mountainous areas within our country. There's I mean, we live in a county in Essex which is very, very flat. There's not many hills and not no mountains or anything like that. You can go up to, there's some beautiful places in this country, but we don't have that extreme, do we? We might have we have differences in temperature and rainfall.
Yeah, well, this is one of the driest parts of the country.
Yeah, but we don't have, we haven't got a desert halfway up the country.
Yet.
In the West Midlands.
Yet.
No.
Let's see how climate change goes.
We haven't got a rainforest in Wales. We haven't got a deciduous forest in Scotland. Well, we have, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lie. We have got one.
Stop lying, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to say. So that's what's fascinated me about Australia.
Is its vastness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of farming, as you said. A huge amount of farming.
Yep,
they
big on farms.
Export a huge amount of wine.
Yep.
From Australia.
Do you know what kind of wine?
Australian wine?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought
Glad we got to the bottom of that.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a big tourist industry as well because you've got the Great Barrier Reef off of Australia. People go there for that.
And also the exportation of coral and fish via that as well.
Do they really? Do they export a lot of that sort of thing
there
from
are
that particular
specific companies that work via a license that have the idea being is it's done in a way that's regenerative.
Right.
If that's
that sounds about right. Yeah.
So it doesn't actually cause damage to the environment. And in fact, the profits they kind of make will help support the environment. That being said, they still need to make a profit. But yeah, I think there's one or maybe two companies that do take stuff from the Great Barrier Reef. But there's a lot of reefs across the world that have only specific people able to take stuff from. but where that one's a developed country, it's more so the case.
And I did see a figure, but I can't remember what that figure was exactly, but the amount of people that emigrate...
Action Man.
What?
Action Man. Was that the figure you saw?
No,
the action figure?
No, it wasn't the action figure. I didn't even say... I said actual figure, not action figure. Right. But apparently there's a huge percentage that are sort of from other countries. So a lot of people go over there and immigrate over there. Apparently I think outside of Greece, there's the biggest Greek community in the world there, only second to actually being in Greece. But it's a place. There's programs on in this country, isn't there, that talk about people immigrating from here to over there. They're quite strict with what you do over there. They only let people in who've got a trade or look to see what they can do.
Also the bio. We'll come on to the biodiversity in a bit, but they're also quite strict on the what you bring in biological into the country. Just got that information for you, by the way, because you're talking about where people come from. It's roughly estimated about 20% of the Australians descend from the convicts that were sent over there.
Okay.
And the last lot of convicts were sent over in 1868.
Right. So, okay. So not a huge amount of time.
No, not a huge
in the scheme of things,
but
should be ashamed of
about
ourselves.
162,000 convicts were sent over.
Wow. And were they
from Britain and Ireland?
Britain and Ireland. But were they? Did they send over the more extreme convicts and more extreme crimes, or did they literally send anybody over they could send over?
The research I've done into this was done a little bit earlier while you were talking.
All right.
So you ask me questions like that, I'm not likely going to be able to get the answer.
Okay, thanks very much.
No worries.
Right, bye.
How animals work. Number 93, the ostrich. The largest of all the bird family, the ostrich or ostrich takes its name from the country it's unique to. The ostrich wanders the wastelands of Australia looking for prey, which it disembowels with its 2-inch long front teeth. The ostrich is a formidable foe, and its 14-foot neck means not much is out of its reach.
Okay. So one of the good things that fascinates me. Oh, for God, you're not going to do this. Plum. Right. One of the things that fascinates me about Australia.
There's a lot of things that fascinates you about things. That's one of your key terms in these podcasts.
Yeah, but it does fascinate me because, I haven't seen these countries. When you think about...
seen USA?
Well, I have, yeah, but I haven't seen... I've seen a particular part or a couple of parts of USA, but I haven't seen the majority of it. Anyway,
just go to
going back to this... Yeah.
They
haven't got Australia there, no. The wildlife. And obviously there's lots of wildlife in Australia, but because it's an island, there are some animals...
Every time you say island, I just hear the song, like the Ibiza one.
I don't know that one.
We're going to Ibiza.
Ibiza.
Oh.
I know it's spelled Ibiza.
On the island.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're not talking about that, right? We're talking about the range of animals in Australia and animals that are unique to Australia. So not all these are obviously...
I'll be honest, most animals from Australia are unique to Australia.
Yeah, most of them, but there are...
Apart from the sheep.
There are animals that, because of there's islands not too far from Australia. What is it? Would Malaysia be that sort of? Well, I suppose that's a fair old distance from there. But there are. Yeah. So there has been a spread of the animals.
Yeah,
across
there'll be a natural spread of certain amount. But this is one of the big reasons why they are very careful about biological things being allowed into the country. Because when I say biological, whether it be food or whatever, because they are very much making sure that they know they've got very their wildlife is only their wildlife. It doesn't live anywhere else. So they're very careful about not harming that wildlife by potentially introducing something that could wipe out something.
Yeah, and that's one of the things like you said. Like,
and it's not just animals; it's plants as well.
Cane toads. I mean, as much as even saying the words makes me feel awful, but they're not native to Australia, weren't they? Introduced, and they've become a real issue for them in Australia. I don't know that for sure, but I think I watched the Simpsons episode once, and that happened. Can I ask you while we're doing this segment? Can you stop fiddling about with my didgeridoo?
I was playing the didgeridoo a moment ago, and it's put a really weird taste.
It's got like sort of a wax thing on the end of it, which is weird.
And I have to keep.
And it's probably quite dusty and might have some spiders in it.
It might do, but I'm holding on to it, but I've got nowhere to put it.
I can lean it up against over there if you like. Would that be easier?
What if we need it in an emergency?
Okay, you better hold it then. So, right, kangaroos, koalas, dingoes, emus, lots of sheep.
Ostriches.
They've got camels.
Not ostriches.
Did you know they've got camels in Australia? In the desert part of Australia, but they have got camels. Sheep, and some more sheep. Obviously...
You said cheap on that last
one.
Did I?
Yep. Off the coast
How about the caraway?
What's that?
The bird. The really horrible bird.
Kookaburra.
No. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Okay. Well, while you're trying to work out how to pronounce it, obviously they've got lots of snakes, lots of spiders. The oceans around Australia are teeming with life, as you'd expect. And when we talked about the Great Barrier Reef and the incredible amount of fish species and mammals, and there's quite a bit of a fascination about the great whites that obviously again are around that coastline. Jellyfish, and one thing that always amazed me, we talked about Becky and Sam going to Australia.
Cassowary.
Is that a bird that it's got such claws
really
on it?
Colourful, and it seems to have like a massive horn that looks like a Pringle.
It looks a little bit like that thing out of Up.
Yeah, Kevin.
Anyway,
also platypuses. You didn't mention
I'm
platypuses.
surprised because Becky must have done her homework. I'm surprised that she went to Australia, because when you start looking at the animals in Australia, and I've got a top 10 of dangerous animals.
No way. That doesn't sound like you.
It does sound like me. It's very much me, isn't it?
Yep.
So number one, and some of these I reckon you know a little bit about. So number one on the...
probably a big word we should mention when it comes to a lot of animals that come from Australia. Marsupial.
Yes, marsupials, yeah. That's a big thing there.
Marsupials, are they not... Do marsupials only come from Australia, or is it mostly?
No, because marsupials,
Australia?
Surely things from... You've got marsupials on Madagascar, have you? Or
you're thinking of lemurs. How would I spell?
What is the definition of a marsupial?
Marsupials are a group of mammals commonly thought of as pouched animals, like the wallaby and kangaroo at left.
So
that's
otters.
actually on the right. They
otters
give
have got
live birth,
pouches,
but do not have long gestation times like placental mammals. Yeah, so one of the big things with marsupials, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's not a long gestational period, so they give birth to like a kangaroo joey. The kangaroo joey will crawl up the outside of the kangaroo, and it'll be very, very tiny and very, very small.
And
it will go inside the pouch, where the pouch almost behaves as almost a second womb.
Yeah.
And the teats
or
are
you could
inside
say a spare womb.
A spare womb. They'll go inside the pouch, and the teats are inside the pouch, so they'll feed from inside the pouch. I'm sorry, I thought this was on my toes, so I had to look down from the mic. They'll feed from inside the pouch, and they'll just pretty much live their life from inside the pouch. The first part of their life from inside the pouch.
But there are animals, I mean, don't giant pandas, they don't have pouches, but don't giant pandas, their young are tiny, absolutely like minuscule when they're first born.
So they originated in the New World, by the way. Which have been found in both China and North America.
Because I do think marsupials,
as well.
Yeah, I think they are around the world. I don't think they're...
Australia, New Guinea, New Zealand, and nearby islands.
Well, so in that area, Australasia, that sort of area.
And in the Americas sometimes.
Yeah, otters. Right, so you might know about... This isn't a marsupial, right? Number one, straight in at number one, the box jellyfish, a.k.a. boxfish, a.k.a. sea wasp, a.k.a. fire medusa or stinger.
A.k.a. jellyfish, that is cuboid in shape.
It's the most toxic animal on Earth, apparently.
Yep.
You looked at me and then looked like you were disbelief.
No, I said yep, and then thought you might say some more.
So do you know anything about the box jellyfish?
It's a jellyfish.
Yeah.
It's box-shaped.
Is it?
And it's the most toxic animal on Earth.
You do know all about it then, don't you?
I do.
Okay, I thought you might know something about the fish bits of this.
It can kill a man.
It's fairly instant as well. And a few of these on here that they've got are... quite a lot of them have got... and they live in the water. Oh, well done. Right, second on this is the taipan snake. Apparently, the most venomous snake in the world. Well, I think it's a desert-dwelling snake. And I think from what I read, the likelihood of it biting you is remote because it will clear out of your way. But as we all know, if you disturb something accidentally, it's going to bite you.
It's much like a black widow. A black widow will not do much. It's only in extreme circumstances.
It's like a defence mechanism, yeah. Some animals are more aggressive than others, but obviously any sort of animal, you think how big they are a lot of the time, and even a snake. I don't think it's a huge snake. I just think it's, unfortunately...
I've never heard of Scarlett Johansson biting anyone.
Why'd you say that?
She's played Black Widow.
Oh, yeah. Number 3, saltwater crocodiles, which are able to be in freshwater as well, but can grow to enormous sizes, apparently.
How big?
Enormous.
Oh.
Yeah. Number 4, a blue-ringed octopus.
Yes, do know about these. The most venomous octopus in the world.
It bites you, and it's highly venomous. But do you know any more about that? It's the size of a ball, although they didn't say what size ball, because that could be a medicine ball, it could be a tennis ball or ping pong ball. Yeah.
You said, do you know much more about that? And then didn't wait for me to answer.
Go on.
Before.
Do you know much more about that?
Well, it's about the size of a ball.
Right.
But they don't specify what kind of ball.
No.
Also, you generally don't keep them in fish tanks.
But apparently there's no known antidote. So if you get bitten or stung by this octopus... Bitten, that's it. It's very rare for people to survive it. Now, this one surprised me. Number 5, stonefish, right? They camouflage themselves like stones on the bottom of the corals and that. So on for relatively shallow waters, but for divers going down, if you step on them, they're again highly venomous. There is an antidote, but obviously if you're in the sea, I think probably in a place like Australia, and antidotes for these things are readily available. They're probably, most doctors would have a stash of stuff like this, because obviously it's more, I don't suppose it's that frequent, but it happens, more than in this country. You haven't really got anything like that.
You might even find that, like, in some cases, diving companies have them. I don't know.
It would make sense, wouldn't it? It makes sense.
It might be in their first aid kit.
Yeah, it might be something they have. Number 6, the redback spider.
Is there 10 of these, by the way?
Yeah, or Australian black widow. Well, I did say it's the top 10 dangerous animals.
Yeah, but I couldn't remember how many it was.
Okay, so the redback spider, an Australian black widow, as we've talked about, it's only 1 centimetre across usually, but highly venomous. Again, there is an antidote to it, but they will only really, if they're disturbed, they may sort of bite at a last resort.
Do you think if we didn't do the antidote of it, you might get superpowers, and they're just telling you that you die, but in fact you'd actually get superpowers?
Yes. Right, and then for some reason, they lumped in...
In fact, it was a radioactive spider, wasn't it?
Which I think was a bit of a cop-out. Number 7 and 8, brown snake and tiger snake.
Oh, they're equal. They're joint.
Joint 7th and 8th, obviously. So again, I think they're more... certainly a brown snake. I think they are quite
Are they the ones you find in the toilet?
They might be, actually. But they're the ones I think people in sort of residential areas, you could come across them there. You're not necessarily going to have to be out in the outback or in the desert to find something like that. I think they're more common. I think so, because I've heard of them for a start anyway. I think there was one on Neighbours. Right. Neighbours. Obviously, number 9, fascinating, great white shark. There's... a lot of activity. I think there's a lot of cage diving and that goes on around the Australian coast. They have had issues with them. They certainly look out for them. There's certainly quite an abundance of them around the coast. We just don't get things like that here. I can't even imagine.
Basking sharks.
Yeah, we do get things like that, but none of those would be of any threat to us. They might, frighten the life out of you if you look round and saw a fin. We've got dolphins around there, but if you suddenly saw a fin and you didn't quite see what it was,
That's why they're called dolphins.
Dolphins, yeah. And the last one is a spider again, which is the Sydney funnel web spider.
You know what?
Named after Sydney Funnel, who was a
web
specialist
sensation.
Who was a specialist in arachnids. And that grows from 1 to 5 centimetres.
I have a question regarding your list.
Yes.
I find it interesting that you've got 1 to 10 rather than 10 to 1.
Yeah, I could have counted it down
because it got more it got less. It was anticlimactic because it got
less and less impressive.
And less
well, the first one was
box
box jellyfish. Oh look, I can't do everything right, can I? So I just thought that'd be quite interesting. But obviously, there's a huge amount of wildlife there. Oh well, that's another one, isn't it? A duck-billed platypus, unbelievable. I think haven't they got the only 2 mammals that lay eggs?
Yeah, a mammal that lay eggs is just strange, isn't it?
And the duck-billed platypus, I mean, what's that all about? It's
mad. They didn't think it was real when they first came across it, did they?
Well, like
they thought it was a prank.
Yeah, we've talked about things like that before with like mermaids and things, and where you'd have these people like Barnum would stitch a monkey torso onto a fish to make it look like a mermaid and have a skeleton of that. It's that sort of thing. But yeah, the first people to see those must have thought, what the...
Unless someone did try and glue it all together and then there was like a thunderstorm and then it got struck by lightning and it's alive now. And then platypus existed.
Like some sort of Frankenstein platypus.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you have written an Aussie themed song?
Well, I kind of had. I thought I'd do the sing it in an Aussie accent. Then I realised I can't do an Aussie accent. I can't even say it. And then I thought I can't really sing either. But I've done a song. I'm going to push it towards the Australian tourist board because I think, anything that can help them, it's got to be worth it.
Do they need a lot of help in Australia?
They do, because no one wants to go to Australia. So now once I've done this song, they're going to think, wow, got to go there. I've heard all these interesting things about it.
Right.
Okay, so you can play it now, and I do apologise.
All right.
Welcome to Australia, the land of opportunities. There's spiders in our dunnies, and there's great whites in our seas. They say we're from down under, and so relaxed we're comatose. We're always having Barbies, I guess that's true, I suppose. Drop you down in and see if you survive. Take a look at Urulu, you brought your bigger knife. Drop you down in whoop whoop. So watch out for the snakes. They like to bite as you take flight. A single strike is all it takes. We could cook you up some snags. Or would you like some giant prawns? Get yourself a tin and stretch out on the lawn. Go pop on some budgie smugglers. We're all cobbers here. We'll fill you up with tasty grub and soak it up with beer. Drop you down in whoop whoop and see if you survive. Take a look at Urulu. Hope you brought your bigger knife. Drop you down in whoop whoop. So watch out for the snakes. They like to bite as you take flight. A single strike is all it takes.
Game time.
Woohoo! Right.
Okay.
Now, mate, for an Aussie-themed game.
Aussie-themed game?
Aussie-themed game.
That's what I said.
So, what you got for us today, Dad?
Did?
Dad?
Will, son. That doesn't sound like it either, is it? How do you do it? What is it that you use? What sort of twang do you use to actually do it?
Wow.
Look, I've got a quiz. I've got a sting. Just play the sting.
Do you know your roos from your didgeridoos? Do you know your thongs from your billabongs? Do you know your cobbers from your coppers? Then with this quiz you can't go wrong.
What a lovely sting.
Did you enjoy it?
I did. Now, what's the name of the game?
The name of the game is Didgeridoo or Didgeridoo. Oh, dear. What a great bit of didgeridoo playing there from Connor. Do you
Thanks.
know, I really struggle to do that.
Might have to rest it
and
on
my
your foot.
didgeridoo's been gathering
Can I
dust for
rest it on
some
your
time
foot?
now. But, you know, you seem to be a bit of a master of this.
Shall we do it again?
One more time, because we've got neighbours.
Hang on, I need to warm up my lips.
Yeah, because you've got to do
I can't circular breathe.
circular breathe.
No.
Oh, it's just like being there. It's mystical.
You stop
It's
shaking your
mystical.
foot.
Yeah, it was making me laugh. That's fantastic. No, I
Thanks.
picked that up on my travels.
Yeah, where?
Canterbury, Kent. Right. Okay. So
It's got Aboriginal dot art.
yeah, it has. I'm not saying it's from Australia, but it is a didgeridoo all the same, and I will master it at one point. Are you ready for didgeridoo or didgeridoo?
I didgeridoo.
Right, you've got 10 questions, right? You'll be absolutely flabbergasted to learn each question is multiple choice.
No way.
Way.
That's not like
So I'm going to go straight in. Found in Victoria, this mountain has an unusual name given to it due to how challenging it was to ascend. But what is its name? Is it A. Mount Puff Puff, B. Mount Tough Tough, or C. Mount Buggery?
I can't tell. I don't feel like it'd be Mount Buggery. I feel like you've put Mount Buggery in because... Well, do you want me to describe what buggery is?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't ever want to have that conversation again like we did when we came out of the harvester that time.
Yeah.
You were quite young at the time. Anyway, go on.
And I asked what buggery
That was your nan's fault.
And you had to explain it.
Yeah. All right, yeah. That's not for this. So is it Mount Puff Puff, Mount Tough Tough, or Mount Buggery, which I
Mount
regret
Puff
putting
Puff.
Well, it isn't Mount Puff Puff. It is, in fact, Mount Buggery.
You said you regret putting it in.
Yeah, but I didn't finish it and say, but I didn't have a choice, because that's actually what it was. And apparently it was just named, and I'm getting a feeling that they are quite straight and to the point, the Aussies, and that's what they called it. And I believe because it was such a nightmare to
be
walk
fair,
around
they
the
really
plant.
like the C word, don't they?
They do indeed. Question 2.
Name us what happened.
Which of these is an animal that lives amongst other places in the far... Well, hang on. Which of these is an animal that lives, amongst other places, in the far northeast of Queensland? A. Is it A? I'm getting worse at reading these. I don't know about better. Is it A, the sea koala? Is it B, the tree kangaroo? Or is it C, the desert penguin?
The desert penguin.
I'm afraid that's didgeridoo. It's in fact the tree kangaroo.
Yeah, how's the didgeridoo and the didgeridoo?
That doesn't really work with this, does it? No.
Really.
Billabong and Billarong. That's Billarong. It's the tree kangaroo. There's such a thing as a tree kangaroo that sits up in the trees and he's a kangaroo. There you go. I don't know if it just bounced up there and hasn't been able to get back down. We will never know. Question 3. How many beaches are there in Australia? Are there...
It's one big one.
8? Are there A, 10,685? Are there B, 5,861? Or are they C, one long one that stretches around the island?
Oh,
I was ahead of you there.
You were ahead of me. A.
It is A. Billabong. It's 10,000...
Didgeridoo did it right.
Did it right. 10,685 beaches. Question 4. What did an Australian man once try to sell on eBay? Was it A,
Imagine there's a lot of Australians.
New Zealand?
Oh.
Was it B, England? Or was it C, Uluru, which is what we previously knew as Ayers Rock?
Ayers Rock. Uluru.
Yeah, Uluru, I believe it's called. No, it was A, New Zealand. Question 5. If an Australian asks you, have you seen me chook? Right? What is he offering to show you? Is he offering to show you A, his child, B, his chicken, or C, his wife/girlfriend?
His wife/girlfriend.
No, I'm afraid that's wrong. That's have you seen my chook? Is have you seen my chicken?
Right.
Chook,
That's
chicken.
got a different meaning to me as well.
It has. Again, something I'm not really wanting to go into. Question 6. Again, we find ourselves in Victoria. But which one of these are you likely to come across in this state? Would you come across A, Intercourse Island? Would you come across B, Burrum Buttock? Or would you come across C, Spanker Knob?
Spanker Knob.
Spanker Knob, that's absolutely correct. Billabong. We did it. It is in Victoria. Intercourse Island is in Western Australia and Burrum Buttock is in New South Wales. They're all actual places, but only Spanker Knob is in Victoria.
That was a tricky one then.
Well, not really, because I asked you, we find ourselves in Victoria, but which one of these is likely to come across in this state?
I'm not likely to know it.
Question 7. Where does Australia rank in the top 10 largest countries in the world? Is Australia at number 4? B, number 6?
You didn't say A.
Or C, number 8? And I'll go again. Are they at A, number 4, B, number 6, or C, number 8?
I think it goes Russia, USA, China, Australia. So I'm going to go for number 4.
It is in fact 6, and I wish I'd written down what the ones before it are.
You didn't say 6 as an answer.
I did 4, 6 and 8.
I don't think you said 6.
Well, you can play it back and find out, but I'm pretty sure I did. A couple of times as well. I think playing that Didgeridoo...
I was focused so much on saying you didn't say A.
Oh, right.
You went A, and then you went B.
Yeah, so you weren't actually listening to anything else I was saying.
And you went B.
Question 8. Australia's capital city, Canberra, means what in Aborigine? Does it mean Lagerland? A. Lagerland. B. Buttock Bridge. Or C. Woman's Cleavage.
I didn't listen to the question.
Australia's capital city, Canberra, means what in Aborigine? So Canberra in Aborigine, what does it mean? Does it mean A. Lagerland, B. Buttock Bridge, or C. Woman's Cleavage?
Buttock Bridge.
Oh no, it's Billabong. It's Woman's Cleavage because Canberra is cradled between 2 mountains.
Right.
So that's why
but
it's
it could
called
also
that.
be Buttock Bridge in that sense as well.
It could be, but it isn't. I think they've got another word
your
for buttock.
Your mic made a good noise then.
Did it? Sorry,
yeah,
I don't usually do that. It's your thing, that. Right,
still
penultimate
going.
question.
Can you just hold onto your mic just to stop it vibrating?
I just knocked it again by doing that. Question 9. What animal did the Australian government invent to further scare tourists? Was it A, the drop bear? Was it B, the flying snake? Or was it C, the 10-leg super spider?
10-leg super spiders made up by you. The drop bear is a real thing. The drop bear are koala bears. The
falling out of trees.
The drop bear genuinely is just koala bears falling out of trees, and they can cause some damage if they fall on you. I'm going to go for the flying snake.
You're in fact wrong, right? God only knows why the Australian government needed to make up something to further scare the people that visit, because we've gone through a list earlier on about how many sort of dangerous things they've got in there, but it was in fact a drop bear. But we're not talking about koala bears here. We're talking about actual bears that they said would drop out of trees and attack people. They'd hide up in trees.
I've heard it made as a joke a lot, but I just always assumed they were talking about koala bears.
They made it up saying that these bears lived up in the trees and they should drop down and attack people. And your last question in this
Australian disaster, isn't it?
It hasn't gone well for you, has it?
Maybe we should have got some Australians in.
Maybe.
Or have people been 10. To Australia?
Staying on the animal theme, which one of these is a critically endangered animal? Is it A, the Jacob's platypus?
Is that platypus?
No, platypus.
Platypus.
Is it B, the Gilbert's potteroo?
Potteroo?
Or is it C, the Norbert's nankinu?
Norbert's nankinu.
Yeah. So is it the Jacob's platypus, the Gilbert's potteroo, or the Norbert's nankinu?
Norbert's nankinu. I'm gonna rule that one out because you've just done that because it rhymes with kangaroo or whatever the other one was.
Kangaroo. Right. Okay. So then that leaves you with Jacob's platypus and Gilbert's potteroo if Norbert's nankinu's not right.
Gilbert's potteroo.
And you go out in a blaze of glory. That is correct. It's the Gilbert's potteroo that is a critically endangered animal. And that is the end of my little Australian quiz.
It was nice. Well done.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was riveting.
Riveting. All right. I'll have to,
That's a positive word, by the way.
It is, but I felt that you were being sarcastic. Were you being sarcastic or were you being genuine?
Absolutely not.
Genuine. Right, okay. So,
before we leave off the rest of the podcast, I think it's worth mentioning that we have come across some people that have been to Australia.
Oh, yes, and we've mentioned them. Yeah. And obviously, we've got other relatives that have got relatives in Australia and visit there on a more regular basis. But yes, people very close to us.
Not right now.
Not right now, but Becky and Sam. I think a number of years ago that was now.
Yeah,
they went
it was
to Australia.
back in 2018.
2018?
I want to say 2018.
All right, I'll say that then.
Because I think 2018. Because I think it was the year I started my new job.
Potentially, and they were away for about 6 weeks.
For the entire summer.
Yeah. Well,
because I started my new job and I was working, and when I say new job, it's not a new job anymore because I've moved away from that job, but I'm still in the same business. Which I've been at 4 years as of yesterday.
Well
as
done.
of today,
Congratulations.
actually. But yesterday when this comes out. And you were away for a week and they were also gone, so I was home alone in my new job.
I'm sure you were okay.
And I had pesto pasta
for
lunch one day. Not for dinner one day. Yeah.
Fantastic. I think I used to get you to send me pictures of when
I was eating
to make sure you were eating.
Yeah, I sometimes forget.
And you were still alive. Right. Anyway, so
we asked them some questions.
We did ask them some questions, didn't we? Only a couple of questions, just to get a feel for how they remember, whether they remember it fondly or they don't.
Because we potentially should have interviewed them on the podcast. However,
we're not very organised.
We weren't very organised, and our only opportunity would have potentially been yesterday, and I don't think we were in the best place to do that yesterday.
No, probably not. So, what did you ask Sam? You said to Sam...
I said to Sam and Becky, I said, who is your favourite Australian?
Well, Becky's favourite Australian was Rebel Wilson. And I think that's probably
because... And that was prompted by Sam.
And prompted by Sam, yeah. But I think that's probably because of the films that
Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect.
She was also in Night at the Museum 3.
Oh, she wasn't she? But Sam's favourite Australian, or the first answer he gave us, was Rolf Harris.
Yes, interesting.
Which we mentioned might be problematic, and I do get that I used to watch Rolf Harris when I was younger, painting and doing that, and he was a bit of a national treasure at the time. But he then went on and said, not Rolf Harris, he's going to choose Eddie Jones, the England rugby manager.
Have you got a favourite Australian?
Kylie Minogue.
Yeah.
But no, I've got this. I mean, I admire many Australians, and I actually quite often when you watch actors, you don't realise that they're Australian. You know,
Margot Robbie,
Hugh Jackman,
or Huge Jackman.
Huge Jackman. Is Kate Blanchett Australian?
I don't know who that is.
I'm going to say that. She may be a Kiwi. Anyway.
I like Adam Hills.
He's
a good one.
No, so there's many to choose from.
Yep. Yeah. Next question.
Zippy? What am I talking about?
What, Zippy from Rainbow?
No, Skippy, the bush kangaroo. Anyway, so the next question you asked was...
Well, they went on a trip for a month.
Yeah.
I did ask what was their favourite bit from that trip.
The favourite bit from that trip, Sam said, was the skydiving, the nude skydiving he did.
Correction, he said skydiving.
Oh, it wasn't.
He's never been nude skydiving.
Has he not?
No, because he hasn't done enough skydives to be able to do that.
I thought he said he particularly liked the way the wind went through his hair. Becky said she loved the koala experience she had.
Yeah. Koala cuddle.
Koala cuddle. So that was lovely. And I did see pictures of that. That looked good. I did see pictures of the skydiving.
Neither of them said the diving.
Shocking. Yeah, neither of them
not diving. By the way, this is a correction. We once said that Becky and Sam went to Australia and they went scuba diving.
They didn't.
They didn't. They went snorkeling.
Snorkeling. One thing they did do...
We never went to correct that.
Is they went out on kayaks, and when they were out on the kayaks, a whale swam underneath the kayaks. And I don't know how I'd feel about that. It sounds incredible, but I think... certainly Becky was quite nervous about what might happen, but I remember them sitting somewhere and watching whales out at sea, sort of breaching the water and that. Incredible dolphins and that.
Yeah. See,
Anyway.
I went for the desert penguins because there are penguins in Australia as well, and I went to go watch them.
And
the last question
was about food.
Well, actually, we asked a lot of questions, but there was just a question about things that what would they think of the food, or what was their favourite thing they ate when they were there.
I think Sam said he enjoyed eating kangaroo.
Yep.
And Becky said wasn't keen on the food at all.
Yep.
So that's fair enough. It's fair, each to their own.
I mean, I guess Becky would like anything that was just essentially what we'd have here.
Yeah, which wasn't specific to that. So the likelihood of having kangaroo or something.
I don't think their cuisine is too dissimilar.
I mean, obviously, if you're vegetarian, vegan, that's not going to be palatable for you. But I understand that kangaroo meat is quite tender. It's quite a nice sort of meat as a steak. I don't know that I'd try it myself, but there we go. So yeah, I think they both said though, and I think I would like to at one stage visit Australia. They both said they'd love to go back.
Yeah, they did.
Because they only covered one sort of coast, went up the coast gradually through those particular weeks, stayed with some family over there, but done all these incredible experiences.
They only did family for a little bit.
Yeah, I know. That was just a brief stop.
I think it was at the start.
But, what a fantastic experience and what a thing to have done, to look back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we head off again, you may think, wow, they've said a whole other thing after the game, and normally it should have ended by now, but we also had a message.
Yeah.
We had a message. I shall read you said message, Dad.
Yes.
It says that the subject is comment, question, suggestion or complaint. So they seem to have put all of the options in there.
Oh, right. They've gone for it.
Hi, father and son. It's Al here.
Oh, Al.
You'll be pleased to know that I've been listening to your podcast intently over the last few days and I'm all caught up. Sporadic listener doesn't have the same ring to it. Well,
right.
You've got to maintain that now.
Yeah, you've got to maintain
Al.
being right on the ball with it in order to eliminate the sporadic tag we've given you.
I thought I would message in again to help the research on music copyright. According to the link I have added to the bottom of this message, musically you can change it enough that the song can be recognised as its original. David, if you're changing the genre, I doubt we will be able to recognise the original song anyway.
Right, so this...
Lyrically, you'd need to change it completely, so why not parody the song? So what he's leaning towards here is saying that he thinks we should do a section in which we change a genre for a song.
Right, so we take a famous song...
Yeah.
Change the genre, and we'd have to change the lyrics as well. So, for instance...
Yeah.
Right?
So, I will point out, so what he said is take a song, change the genre, and also we'd need to change the lyrics. So, what we've done is we've written a new song.
Yeah, so the way I'm thinking, if you take something like, I don't know, Let It Be by the Beatles, right? And instead of it being sort of a ballad but of its time, you change it to a death metal song.
Yeah.
But then you're not allowed to call it Let It Be. You have to, call it something different. And then all the lyrics within that song you're going to have to change. Is that really going to work? Because if you just did the song without it being a different genre and changed all the words, people would know what that song is. Even
if I did it as a different genre and had all the words the same,
then you'd recognise it.
If
you did it in a different genre and changed all the words, surely it's just a completely different song. The music's going to be the same, but...
No, because it's a different genre.
But you'd still use... you'd have the same chords, but you'd be playing them on, heavy metal. On a didgeridoo, yeah.
It's like Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah.
The broom.
Yes.
If you change the head and the stick? Is it the same broom?
Yeah.
We'll move on because it still continues this. With this new information in mind, I would like to suggest the new segment is called Genre Swap, Lyric Swap. Can you guess the original bop? Full stop.
Oh my goodness.
Can you guess the original bop?
How has he had time to listen to all the podcasts he hadn't listened to by that point, and then gone on to produce this?
I don't know.
Lot of nonsense.
He did mention something like this. We spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, and he did mention something like this.
He's thought of a new segment, which is quite a big segment by all accounts, because obviously if we both did it, it would take up quite a bit of time.
Yep.
He's also got a title for it.
Yep.
Has he written music for it as well?
Maybe we should get him to work on that.
Yeah. Okay.
He says, "I'm always open to look." And for this bit, I can't. It feels like he's just trying to quote us, because I'm actually going to bring up our website right now just to check whether he has just quoted from the website. But what he's written is, I'm always open to new suggestions on how we can improve the podcast. If you'd like to send in a message, whether it be a comment, question, suggestion or complaint, you can do so via the website, which is fatherandsundays.com. Go to the contact page, you can leave it there. Alternatively, you can send us an email or go to our Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Leave a comment on there as well. Now, I do say something like that at the end of each podcast. We'll say, though, Al, I'm not sure I always say, I'm always open to new suggestions on how I can improve this podcast.
Because if anything, we're
open
closed. We're closed, aren't we? We
have said in the past, send your suggestions in.
Yeah, and
because we do say comment, questions, suggestions or complaints. Yeah. We do say that.
Okay.
But I've not said I'm always open to it. So, just saying.
Okay.
But anyway, I appreciate him sending us in a message there and sending in a suggestion. That is not all, though. He's then written, I hope this helps, and I look forward to your feedback in our next planning meeting. I don't know who's setting up these meetings, Al.
Is he having them on his own?
Yeah, you just having these meetings on your own?
Has he got cutouts of us there?
Does he think that when we talk on the podcast, that's
the planning
we can hear him as well? I don't know. Forever listening, even if I'll try that one again. It's a bit like you earlier. Forever listening, even if I was a little bit behind for a while. And then he signed it, Producer Al.
Producer Al. Wow, Al. He's up in he's got a promotion, has he?
Yeah, well, he's given it to himself.
He has, hasn't he?
It's not a paid promotion, I can guarantee that.
Very interesting, very interesting.
And then
what is he actually producing?
I don't know, orange juice. He's squeezing oranges at the weekends. I don't know.
Right.
Then he's got a PS, which I don't. What does PS stand for?
Oh, it's Latin, isn't it? Postscript.
Yeah. Please see.
Well, that isn't Latin. If it's that, is it? Right?
No. So PS.
Posterius scriptus.
PS. It would have been good to know that you were thinking of removing the adverts before I invested 3 full days listening to your podcast.
Oh, God.
Now, this line I have a problem with.
Yep.
Because he said, it would have been good to know that you were thinking of removing the adverts. I have never said we are looking to remove the adverts. It is our only way of making any sort of income.
It's the only way we make any money, which we hardly make anything from it. And against what we pay out,
and to be perfectly open and honest, we're yet to have a payout from it.
Yeah, so, exactly. And it'll be tuppence probably.
Now, we are not looking to remove these adverts. To correct what may have been taken from that, we are looking at ways that you, as a listener, can remove those adverts.
Yes.
Now...
Or indeed, remove the podcast and just listen to the adverts.
And just listen to the adverts. No, it's not something we're not looking to remove the adverts. However, it's one of these things that if we were to look at people listening to remove the adverts, there would have to be some kind of other monetary income.
Yeah.
And that's where it would potentially be that you'd have to pay to listen.
But as a producer of this podcast, surely he knows all this.
Yeah, surely he knows all this.
Surely he's been in the meetings with us. He would know all this detail.
Yeah. So if you want to listen for free, then you absolutely can do, but there will be adverts. However,
it really isn't that bad, is it?
If you are really up for paying to listen without adverts, then I am happy to help you with that.
Okay, then. Okay. Is that the end of that message? That very, very, very long message?
Yep, that is the end of that message.
Okay.
Although actually has got a link down the bottom, because remember we spoke about copyright, but I'm not going to read out the entire link.
I will have a look at that though. I'm quite interested in that anyway.
In terms of everything that's been mentioned there, in fairness...
Sir,
yes?
I've got something, sir. We had another... well, actually, it was a complaint come in. I can't go straight into it now because I'm validating the complaint, making sure that it is accurate. But it was about the dinosaurs episode.
Right.
So once I've done that, we can discuss that, and I shall read it out.
So was it worth bringing up now?
Probably not.
Okay.
I see where I've made a mistake then. Sorry.
Yeah, all right. No problem.
So I basically interrupted you to tell you I wasn't going to say something then, wasn't I? Yeah, I get that now. I get that completely now. Okay, go ahead.
It's been quite a long episode, this.
That's because of him. That's because of Al. It wasn't because of us.
Anyway, with all that being said, now, Al did mention it in his message that if you want to send something like that, you can do so on the website, fatherandsundays.com, go to the contact page, leave a message on there, send an email, or you can potentially do it via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, comment on those, blah, blah, blah. Do what you want with it. If you don't want to send us a message, you don't have to, but it's really nice if you do.
Yeah.
You can also just send messages, just as a reminder, you can send messages and also notify that you don't want them to be read out on the podcast. I have had that before. I've had messages sent through on the email that we've not read on the podcast because the person specified they don't want that.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that as well. That being said, website's a great place because you've also got all the episodes available on there. They're available on your chosen podcast platform. There's a store as well, helps keep us going. And also the adverts helps keep us going.
Try and keep any comment or anything like that down to less than 3 chapters, because we don't want to have to do another podcast just purely to read out.
In fairness, we enjoy that.
Like ours.
We do appreciate the message from Al.
We do.
We make fun of it, but that's mainly because we know him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's it. Yeah, Facebook. I said Facebook, Instagram,
He
Twitter.
did all the things, all the old hokey.
A lot of it was done
Yeah.
by Al in his message.
He did. Well, that's because he's the producer. He knows what he's talking about, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I'm going to have a word with him about that.
Do producers... I have a question.
Yes.
Do producers sometimes fund things?
Oh, I think that's quite often they have to put their hand in
their own
pocket.
money in. Yeah. I'll speak to him about that.
Okay.
All right then.
Well...